Very important round. Round number 11 at the Tata Steel Masters 2021. Anish Giri took on Magnus Carlsen. Now, Anish Giri is the leader of the tournament. He is on 7 out of 10 and he faces Carlsen. And this is very critical for Anish if he wants to win the tournament to play well in this game. And of course, the rivalry between them is well known. So it became a very interesting battle. Carlsen opened with e4. Anish replied with the super solid e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to c4. So it's the Italian game, bishop c5, c3, knight f6, and d3. So we reach a very well-known position. And here, after castles, Magnus went for the move b4. Now, the idea of this move is to just expand on the queen side. There are many other ways in which white plays, but Magnus decides to go b4. It's not the most common option, but a logical one. This gave Anish a chance to put his bishop back on e7. He could have, of course, gone to b6 as well, but he said, let's be solid. Let's play bishop e7 so that later we are not irritated by this pin. Okay. So knight bd2 was played. And now always remember that in such positions, when b5 is played, trying to win the e5 pawn, it never works because of knight a5, knight e5, take the bishop, play d5, pawn takes, knight takes, castles. And I have a very important move here that you should know in such positions. Can you guess it? What the move is? Excellent. a6 is the move. The idea is if you take, I take with the rook and then swing it over to the king side where it will be very, very powerful. So it's a plus position for black. So Magnus here went knight bd2. He didn't go b5, d5, and usually white likes to take, knight takes, but that time the pawn is on b2. Now that the pawn is on b4, it does weaken c3 a bit, and Carlsen decided to play a little bit more positionally with bishop b3, maintaining the tension here in the position. Here Anish went for a very, very committal idea, bishop g4. Now, why is this committal? The reason being that after later the bishop is pushed, you really don't want to be taking on f3 because that gives white the bishop pair. So you may have to put your bishop back to h5 where it is slightly misplaced, as we will see in the game. So other options which I can recommend in this position are d4, because the b4 pawn can become weak after c4. And after b5, you can take on c3, which is not a great move, but it's just an option where here white is better. But the other option is to play knight a5, cd, ed, and knight to c4. And here after knight takes b3, a b3, we reach a position which is around equal. So d4 was one option. The other move that I would say is a5. You know, you're forcing him to play b5. And when he goes back, now e5 pawn is not hanging because of b5. So a4, and now you go c6. And again, black is doing very well. So these are the options that Anish could have considered. He went bishop g4. Now Magnus played queen c2. And here Anish played the move d takes e4. Now this may not be something that is a great idea for Anish, because you see he has this 2 pawns on the 5th rank while white has slightly more passive structure. But after you take, the pawn structure is equalized in the center. But Anish had some ideas and he said, I want to play bd6 so that now I can put my knight from e7 to, oops, that was a long jump, knight to g6. That's what I want to do. Carlsen said h3, bishop h5, and now he played this move rook b1, which may not have been required. You know, he could have even castled, but he wanted to meet a5 with a3. He didn't want to push b5. Fine. So take, and b5 was played by Anish, and this was a interesting move. As Anish said in the post-game conference, his strategy was very risky here. The main reason is that this bishop doesn't want to take here, and it may just get locked out on that side of the board. Castles, knight e7, and you go rook e1. Now rook e1 is played for two reasons. One of them is that you can bring your knight like this after protecting the knight on f3, and the other one is that you are just protecting the e4 pawn. The other option here was c4, and after b takes c4, bishop c4, it seems like white is better here. So could have been that Anish could have played, Magnus could have played c4. But rook e1 was played, and now Anish really started preparing for this g4 move. It shouldn't be played, so he has now more eyes on that square. Queen d3, and rook went to b8, defending the b5 pawn. You cannot take, of course. The rook defends it. So knight went to h4, now threatening maybe knight f5 at some point, not here, but getting the other knight into the picture could have been good. When Anish went knight g6, I think Magnus clearly had to prefer ndf3. The reason for it is that knight f4 now makes no sense. I'll simply pick up the knight and be better as white, especially because there's this fork coming. Second point is that after knight h4, this bishop is kind of misplaced. At the same time, the queen can swing over to g3, knight f5, and start putting a lot of pressure in the position. So this was ndf3 was important, and I think was the improvement in the position. Just to give you an example of bishop f3, if you want to give up that bishop, when you reach such a position, bishop e7, bishop b2, this is quite a nice pleasant edge for white. Or I would say even that white should not try to put his bishop on b2, because then knight f4 becomes possible. You can even just, after bishop e7, put your bishop on g5. This might also be a good square. Okay, so when Anish played knight g6, Magnus took, and he's clearly playing against this bishop. But now Anish was comfortable because after knight f1, he went rook d8, queen f3, and getting the play on the queen side with c5. Bishop g5, you went bishop e7. And this was the point where I think he should have taken on c5, queen c5, knight g3, and continued this, let's say h6, bishop f6, bishop f6. And maybe the position is around even. Could be that white is very slightly better after bishop d5. Because what happened was that after ng3, which I think was an error by Magnus, c4 came by Anish, and now he blocked this bishop in a way where these two pawns don't let it out, and this pawn also keeps on stopping it from getting activated. It's a very, very passive position for white all of a sudden. And now if you take, black would have the bishop pair as well as the bishop is passive. No longer so active on d5. So he went bishop e3, and now Anish played queen c6. Nice move. Knight to f5, and Magnus here, Anish took, queen takes f5, and a very cool move was played by Anish. Can you find it here? Black to play. Of course, moves like rook a8 make complete sense, but he did something very nice. Yes, g6. Well done if you found this move. Of course, you are giving up this pawn, but it does not work because of bishop d6, and the queen is trapped, surprisingly. If you take the knight, bishop h2, and you lose the queen this way. And if you play queen d4, then bishop h2, and you lose the queen this way. So in both cases, you land up in a difficult situation. But also here, maybe this check takes might give white good compensation. So instead, you can take bishop takes b4 with a clear advantage next. So queen f3, he went back, and now Anish improved with king g7, rook a1, rook a8, fighting for the a file, queen e2. And I think it was at this moment where Anish could have really improved his play. In the post-game conference, he said that, yes, I was maybe slightly better, but I didn't think it was such a big advantage. But I believe that black has a very tangible advantage here because of this bishop, which is passive. So if you can exchange these two bishops, then nothing like it. So the move that I would recommend is knight h7. And the idea is to exchange these bishops on g5 when the knight would be clearly superior piece as compared to the bishop. But I think Anish was happy with equality here and he exchanged the rooks. And once that happened, I think nothing much was left. Queen c6, queen e6. Some moves were played, and when bishop was offered for an exchange, of course, Magnus was not going to go into such a position, because here it's only defense that is left to be done. He went bg5, keeping the bishop, attacks, came back, attacks, came back, and it was threefold repetition, and the players agreed to a draw. This is how the game between Anish and Magnus ended. It was a good game, I would say, and a very good play by Anish Giri overall. He gave no real chance to the world champion. Also, if you look at the standings now, Anish is leading the tournament. Just to bring in the standings on your screen. Yes. Anish now leads the tournament here with 7.5 points. Right at the top, he's followed by Caruana, Van Forest, and Ali Reza. So this is excellent chances for Anish to win the Tata Steel for the first time in his life, Tata Steel Masters. Today he's facing Firuza. So today is the big day. And also Anish has now reached number 6 in world rankings. So a great tournament going on for him. We wish him all the best for the 12th round. And let's hope that he keeps going. And also a great event. This is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.